going to call this utility committee meeting to order, July 6, 2021. Can we stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Kathy.
Walther?
Here.
Barstow?
Here.
Gailey?
here.
Okay, well, Chris, looks like we've got a few items on the agenda here to go through. You want to start with number 4, the upgrade update.
Yes, sir. So there's nothing in the packet about this. It's just information where we're at. The equipment is all operating as it should be. We are under permit requirements with the exception of ammonia, which is still a little bit of a struggle for us to get our heads around. The ammonia is naturally the last thing to get removed just because of the bug cycle process, but I believe the problem that we're having is we tried to save our seed mixed liquor in a digester tank during this project, and looking back on it, I think it would have been better if we had simply reseeded from Southwest Licking to begin with. So I believe that's what's put us behind the 8 ball in getting the plant back online. We did have John Vandemelen from EPA Compliance Assistance come out, and he verified what we were hoping, that we're very close. We just need to be a little more patient, and the nitrification will come up to speed with the process we have going. In addition to the ammonia, we also have a foam buildup that is on the oxidation ditch, and the foam is caused by a specific type of bacteria. So we had FECOR come out and remove the foam from the top of the ditch, and that's helped us out quite a bit, and then we're wasting through our natural treatment process to get rid of whatever those bacteria are left, filament bacteria. But all in all, the upgrade is going pretty well. The only thing that did not work at all was the grass seed did not take in this heat. So quality is coming back. That's who Kirk Brothers subcontracted. They're going to come back in September. They guarantee that it'll germinate then. Once they do it in September, they'll come back as much as needed. So I'm not too worried about that. But like I said, we are trying to get the ammonia under control. Once we get that parameter figured out, we'll be right back to where we always are. So that's pretty much all I've got on the upgrade, unless there's any questions to view about that.
Are you experiencing any more smell complaints, any more odor complaints?
No, sir. No odor complaints at all. Standing at the plant, it smells like it's supposed to, finally, which is a great relief.
Okay, great. Any questions from the committee?
No, I mean, I noticed a big difference, so from my house down
You're
here.
definitely close enough to notice it.
Yeah, so it's much better.
Yeah, that's it's much better.
Okay.
Okay.
2-inch water line?
Yeah, moving on to 2-inch water line, number 5. So the first thing in your packet here is 2 pictures stapled together. One is the existing water lines in the Denison, Willow, Poplar area of town. 310 is on your left, Township Road is on your right. That grid is fed from 310 with 4-inch mains coming down Willow and Denison that connect to a 2-inch main on Poplar. They do feed fire hydrants. That's not an adequate feed for a 6-inch fire hydrant. When the water main gets over close to Township, they do not connect there. So when they put the main down Township Road all the way up to Hollow Road, or to Hedley Mills Tower, they never connected to the existing grid. And they are above and below each other. So it's not even like they had to dig sideways any. They could have just gone 2 more scoops and hooked it in. So the concept for this project would be to increase all of these mains to 6 inches and to tie them in at Township Road so that we have loops there. So that is the second page, the second picture there. The light blue lines are the 6-inch mains. The one down Willow would be extended to the 3-way intersection there, and the one down Denison would be connected at the DMV to Township Road. And that would upsize all those to 6. Now, this is a project that has been in the CIP plan. We have $40,000 for engineering of this project set aside for this year. So the reason I'm bringing it up is wanted to go out for requests for proposals from engineers to see if we can select a firm to do the engineering for this work this year, with the idea of doing the construction next year, pending material costs. If they're still outrageous, this is something that could be kicked off a year if need be. But So that's the general concept for that. So, we're getting pretty late in the year, so I plan on advertising for proposals just to gather them here probably the next month, 6 weeks, something like that. And then we'll gather them in, take a look at them, select what we think is the best, and bring that back to the utility committee in the future. But we do have, in Old Town, we've got 3 sections that are fed by 2-inch mains, which is just, it's just too little. It's not sufficient supply, but this one's a nice little neat packet that we can get done, and it gives us some cross connections between the 2 large feeders on Township Road and State Route 310. So, be a good project for us.
Does this project leave anybody, it looks like that there are some houses on Township that may not, well, I guess they still get fed by the 6-inch line. The trailer park, that kind of stuff is all fed by the 6-inch line to the north?
Yeah, it's actually an 8-inch line, but yes, they're all tied off of that township.
So the red is an 8-inch?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. An
that makes
existing
sense.
8-inch
All right.
that will stay in service.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep.
Right, any questions on this project? Do you have any budget, do you have any kind of idea on the budget for the final project,
Yeah,
not just the engineering?
550 is the rough estimate for the budget. So as we go through the budget process this year, I think the utility committee will notice that the estimates from previous years are a little bit low. I think what we figured out is that my predecessor may not have included CACI in his bids. That as well as the markup on materials, that everything's more expensive now. So the original plan was 400,000 in the budget line. I think a more accurate estimate will be right around 550.
Got it. Okay. Bulk water sales.
So bulk water sales is a concept that our system superintendent, Trent Howe, brought up. We do get a lot of calls asking for bulk water. Tanker trucks, hauler trucks, filling pools, construction, all that kind of stuff. We do not have a bulk water rate, and we do not have a point set up to do that kind of thing. So Trent went around and was asking communities that do. Johnstown has a setup like this right outside of their sewer plant. Newark also has a setup similar to this, where you come up with a credit card and just swipe the credit card and buy however many gallons you want, and the valve will open, it'll meter those gallons through, and then the valve will shut back off, and that's all you get. So most of the time it would be in the summer, but Johnstown, they said on average they're averaging like $3,000 a month coming from their bulk water sale. They also are very high in their sale. They sell it at $12 per 1,000 gallons. Newark is a little bit low. They sell it at $7 per 1,000 gallons. Our out-of-town rate is right around $7.06. Just spitballing in my head, I kind of figured we could take the out-of-town rate, add $3 to it, and sell that stuff all day. The good thing about this is there's no obligation. So if we're low on water, we have a tower down here, we just put an out of order sign on it, and nobody can buy water from us. I like the credit card idea a little bit because it frees things up for smaller, pickup truck size tanks. People who have tankers at their house that can come in. Johnstown sees a little bit of that as well. But one of the things that we would stop doing if we went this route is giving free water to contractors who are doing city work. A lot of times we'll fill the tankers up as long as the project is related to city infrastructure for whatever, spraying down hoses or spraying down roads, or whatever they need. So that would all go away, and it would all be billed instead of used as almost like a flushing mechanism. There's several different ways of doing it. This is just an example. Nothing has been picked or decided upon or anything, but they do. The units have to have backflow protection devices, and they have to be, obviously they've got to be heated for winter operation. But this is very preliminary. When Trent brought the idea up and did a little bit of research and was talking about the money that the other communities make, it sounded like a good idea. We've got a lot more research to do before we can throw it in the budget, but I thought I'd bring it to the utility committee this early on and just see if there was any major concerns or any questions specifically that we could research just to try and get a little momentum going.
Well, a couple questions. First of all, the rate would council have to set that?
Yes, sir, it would have to be in addition to, the only ordinance we did not just amend is the
Well,
right ordinance,
we didn't,
but yes, sir. it
we
would have
didn't
to
know
be.
about this.
No,
I mean, we-
no,
You know,
yeah.
it's just, okay, and then secondly, maybe there's some of the other communities, obviously, I mean, the concern I have is vandalism, misuse, what are the other communities doing to make sure that doesn't happen? Some
Right, so
knucklehead doesn't come in the middle of the night and
that is the big concern.
open
So-
up the flood, the valve, and then we've got, you know,
So both Johnstown and Newark have not had major issues with the vandalism. Obviously, Johnstown's a pretty small community and it's in a spot that is ideal for running radar. So they have a lot of supervision at their location, but, in order for it to break and just flood, unlike that, you would have to break the whole building off, cause all the valves would be internally controlled in the stainless steel cabinet. But it is a concern.
I was thinking more about Newark. There's a lot more knuckleheads in Newark than.
Yes, sir. They're, so they haven't had a huge issue with it, is what they were saying so far. But I definitely think we need to research that and make sure that we're secure. The problem is to have it accessible, it needs to be outside of a fenced-in area. My initial thought would be to type it into the driveway at Water Plant One, because we have a big enough area there that we could put a horseshoe driveway so that these trucks can get in and get back out. And it would be not in the middle of nowhere, there are houses right there, but it would be susceptible to, it could be anything.
We can't stop it.
Right.
I'm just, yeah.
Right.
So anyone could come and use this. Would there be a minimum purchase?
So there would have to be a minimum purchase, it'd have to be, I think the pickup truck tankers are 500 gallons.
Oh, okay.
So I think we'd have to do
This is
something like that,
large.
because otherwise you're looking at such a minute, amount of money.
Okay.
You fill up a 5-gallon bucket is gonna be 5 cents or something.
No, I don't mean, not miss,
Yeah,
somebody's not gonna come get a cup of water from it on a hot.
right.
What we're saying is that,
Right.
there's some sort of, I think we'd have to have an ordinance maybe that would set up the minimums and the rates and.
Right, and I think we could program the minimum into the controls of the device as well. But yeah, the rates would definitely need to be an ordinance. So there's a lot of legwork to go, that there'd have to be a driveway, there'd have to be some construction to make this happen. But the demand is definitely out there. Now, as we talked a little bit, Southwest Licking does have, they'll rent out a meter backflow setup, and you can go hook it up to the hydrant and fill up that way. It's inconvenient for the operators, and it is a slight maintenance hassle for CJ and the guys over at Southwest Licking. It's not their favorite thing. The maintenance hassle is usually somebody screwing up the threads when they're putting it on the hydrant, or they slam the hydrant closed, which causes water hammer, and you get a main break from that. So those are the two big concerns. There's also a concern with, which you could eliminate some of that, but if you're on a dead-end area and you open up a hydrant, now everybody's got rusty water. The main coming out of the water plant is constantly flushed, so it eliminates that kind of thing. But I mean, that's the concept.
Do you have any idea how much one of these little stations would cost?
So this station here would be right around 35, but that's not including installation or the driveway.
Right.
So it'll be an initial cost, yet I'm just spitballing to be 60 to get everything in, and then from there you would recoup your money in sales.
Perfect. Yep, you answered that, and the location was my other big concern. I mean, because you can put it a few different places, but I like the idea of being right there in 310.
Well, I'm thinking it gets them off of a road. There is I want to say it's Warsaw, Ohio has one that's right in front of their fire station, but it's basically the breakdown lane. So people just pull over in the breakdown lane and fill up, and they want to block up a city street with a line of water haulers who are trying to fill pools in July or something like that.
Right. It might help with the vandalism too, if it's a more open area close to a major road where you can see it all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Because this would be back a little bit. You would not see it from 310.
Right.
You can
That's
see it from
what I was-
Tasman Ridge, but not from
That's what I was
310.
just thinking, yeah.
Yeah. So that's true. So there's still plenty of tweaks, plenty of information to go with that, but seemed like an idea worth investigating.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, if nothing else, let's go on number 7, the lift station upgrade.
Yes, sir. So the ARPA money that is supposed to come to municipalities, varying amounts depending on which week you're reading the reports, but I think the fact that they've earmarked that for water and sewer, in my mind, the biggest deficiency we have right now is at Creek Road Lift Station. So So everything in Old Town, including the admin lift station, settlement lift station, River Forest, and Sugar Mill lift stations, all dump into this one lift station that has not been improved since 1967 when it was built. So that well is about 10 feet deep. That's also our only sanitary sewer overflow when they do happen. It's at Creekwood Lift Station because it just can't handle the capacity. So we're spitballing around. I think the biggest thing that we would want is an increase in capacity and then possibly a pumping adjustment where we could have a smaller pump that would run almost continuously for normal operations, and we'd have a larger pump that would kick in and empty that larger wet well during a rain event. Spitballing some numbers around, it looked like that might come in at around 1.5, and the last word was we may get around 1.7. So that seemed like almost like a sign. So that I think would be, if that all comes to fruition and it all comes through, and Mr. Higgins still agrees with me when it does show up, I think that would be what we would like to try and use that for, is the Creekwood Lift Station. Not only does it take care of our I&I, but the only developable area that the city has in our service areas is up the Headley Mills corridor, pretty much. And all of that would have to go to Creekwood Lift Station in order to get to the wastewater plant. So we could do a wet well. They've got some new technologies out there. They're not all steel and concrete anymore. There's some HDPE wet wells that are pre-formed, and they can make them 30 feet deep, which is 3 times the capacity we have now. They're cheaper that way because they basically dig a big hole and drop it in. There are some quirks with it. You gotta be precise when you're manufacturing it, where the inlet and outlets are and whatnot. But so those are kind of the things I was thinking about, with the main concept being increasing the capacity at Creekwood Lift Station.
Would this solve the issue with the tissues over there at all, with people having to take them out constantly, or?
So part of the upgrade would be an automatic bar screen
Awesome.
rake, which would do that. Would pull them up, compress them,
Right.
and then it's basically a tube that spits them out into a dumpster.
That just saves so much time for
It
your stuff.
definitely does. I will say, not to be graphic, but there is very little that is sloppier in the industry than going to the raw lift station and
Oh, I've seen it. It looks pretty great.
cleaning the bar screen. It's not the best, but yeah. So that would be a part of the upgrade.
Okay, great.
That's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, most of this meeting is real conceptual, just trying to plant the seed with these different ideas.
Has this been something that you've been carrying in the CIP?
In the unfunded list? Yes,
Unfunded
sir.
list? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Perfect. All right, well, maybe funded.
It would be
Yeah.
nice.
It was,
Nice if it became
wasn't
funded.
very happy when the legislature pulled a bunch of it away, but, you know, we had it earmarked for drainage as well. We certainly need that, but, Chris and I had talked about this through the budget process, and then, of course, before, so.
Mhm.
And I totally agree that, I don't know that we're gonna get development in the Headley's Mill corridor, but that is where it would go, so.
Any questions on that? No. All righty, then last but not least.
Last thing I have
I&I.
is sewer lining for I&I removal. So as we went through the I&I study, we identified River Forest, which is at the bottom of that last picture in purple, and the Oak Meadow area, which is at the top left in, what is that, like an orangish shade there. Those two areas are our highest sources of I&I water. Both of those areas also flow to the Creekwood Lift Station. So the concept was, with our preliminary camera work, which is a little bit outdated, it's from 2010 timeframe. So we would have to camera it again just to make sure what we've got in there, but we don't have collapsed pipes, we don't have holes, we don't have breaks, we've just got leaks. But with clay pipe, there's a leak every 3 feet. So what we were thinking is you go in there with a liner and just line the sewer. You don't have to excavate in people's yards, which is great because Oak Meadows and backyards over there. You just go into the manhole, blow the liner to the next manhole, and come in and cut each lateral back open again. And to do all of this, again, rough budgetary estimates would be right around 1.5, which is a very large number. The EPA did not mandate we had to do all of it we negotiated with them. So my concept would kind of be to break it down into thirds, do 3 $500,000 projects, and to submit those projects to OPWC, let them know that this is driven by our permit with the EPA, and kind of let an OPWC acceptance rate drive the project itself. So at a $500,000 project, it'd probably be $250 from the city, $250 from OPWC if it was awarded, and we could chip away at those areas doing that. If it wasn't going to be awarded, then I think the budgetary number of $250 would still be applicable. We would just have to shrink the area that we would line, and just start chipping away at those older areas until we can get them watertight again, and try and get that I&I out of our system, which would also help at Creekwood Lift Station. But that's the concept. I think the first time that we submitted the application will be 2022. It'll be next year's application. Well, it'll be submitted this year for next year's award, is our concept, and we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how the funding goes. I think that's obviously the big driving factor is the funding. So if we can get free money for that, we'll take it as far as we can. If not, we'll do what we can afford. So, kind of my thought process.
Any questions on the I&I? No? No? All right. I don't have any questions on that. All right. Chris, anything else?
I do not. Well, I do have one thing under other that I want to let you know about, the Strontium issue. So the Strontium camera work that we discussed got put on hold from scheduling and from the wastewater plant upgrade, and me being on vacation last week. So we are getting on the schedule this week to run the camera through there. At the beginning of June, so our limit is 81,000 parts per million. At the beginning of June, we had a reading of 110,000. 2 weeks later, we had a reading of 20,000. And again, all other parameters, including the raw water coming in, were relatively identical. So I still don't have my head wrapped all the way around that. So starting with the camera work of the pipes, see if we have some buildup in there that's breaking off on us at different flows as we're going through is a great place to start. EPA compliance also has no suggestions. Most people nobody has any idea on why this is happening. The good thing is it's not in drinking water, right? Obviously, we're taking it out, that's the problem. The bad thing is I really do think, unless a light bulb goes off at some point, I think the solution is going to be to run a force main to River Forest Lift Station, which is the closest point in our collection system, and dump it in there where all of our sewer water will dilute it to a point that it doesn't matter. We don't have a strontium limit on our wastewater plant permit because of that. But since this is all concentrated out of the softeners, we do have a strontium limit on it for just this reason. Why it goes up and then just disappears, I do not have an answer for you yet. But I'm working on it. I'm doing as much research as I can. I'm asking anybody that I can think of. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But I wanted to get that update to you and the other, because I had thought about that today when we were calling Pecor, that we had talked about that about 6 weeks ago, and I had not done it yet. So that's coming. That's all I have, sir.
All right. Well, anything from the committee?
No.
All right, Chris, well, congratulations on the upgrade. Sounds like that one's out of your hair.
It is, it's
Darn,
mostly.
you can see the light at the end of the
Oh,
tunnel.
definitely, yes, sir. That's where the sunburn came from, was that light.
The electric system and the communication systems are all back and working, no
Yes.
bugs?
No bugs at this point. We've got things, they were working really, really well so far. The last thing we had was the electric controls at the wastewater plant. They came out last Tuesday and fixed everything we asked them to do. So I think at this point, it's all operational adjustments. It should be good.
All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, we can adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Barstow,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes?
Gaelic,
Yes.
You guys were a little quicker than I thought. I could have saved you guys some time and made it 6:30.